Still with me is Michael Steele, and joining the table is MSNBC host of The Last Word, Lawrence O'Donnell himself. Thank you guys for being here. And also joining from Dallas is Katrina Pierson, national spokesperson for the Trump campaign. And Katrina, I want to start by asking you if you believe it's wise for Donald Trump to base his attacks or his rebuttal to the fact that he's being sued over Trump University on race, on the judge's race, and now adding that he doesn't think a Muslim judge could be fair either.
Well, I don't think that it's solely based just upon the ethnicity. I mean, Mr. Trump has also mentioned a number of questionable rulings by this judge, not to mention a number of affiliations that this judge has, including appointing two law firms that are also activists in their nature against Mr. Trump and his policy. So I think it's more than just the ethnicity here.
But it's the ethnicity that he's putting forward. When he's asked, he has the opportunity to say the things that you just said. But when he's asked repeatedly about why he thinks that the judge couldn't be fair, he says, well, he's Mexican. Do you think that's appropriate?
Well, he doesn't say, well, he's Mexican.
He does.
He goes on and he does. But that's not all he says. He says many of the things that I've just mentioned, all of which are important. Americans are not, you know, they don't realize that yes, there is judicial activism in this country, and they know it. And look, we've been dealing with the mainstream media, and you cannot have it both ways, Joy. You can't spend an entire year saying Donald Trump has an issue with Hispanics and Latinos and Mexicans. Polls show Mexicans don't like Donald Trump, and then say all of a sudden that that's not an issue here. It's clearly an issue.
Well, the reason I think that the media constantly talks about Donald Trump and his issues with Americans who aren't white is because he keeps bringing it up on his own. Nobody asked him about the judge's background, the judge's ethnicity. He brought it up on his own. And when he was asked if that would also apply to Muslims, he on his own, without being prompted, said, yeah, actually, that's a problem. He's bringing these things up.
No, see, the media has the problem with Donald Trump and race, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is talking specifics. He has policies like the temporary ban on Muslim immigration for national security purposes and like stopping illegal immigration and building a border wall to stop drugs from coming into the country. It's the media that has turned this into a race thing because of the way they've reported it. It's that simple.
But you don't think that maybe people of Mexican descent might be offended by the idea of being called rapists and saying that Mexican migrants are rapists? The media didn't invent that. They're not making people be offended by that. Let me play you a soundbite of Donald Trump also on his own bringing up race, not the media or the mainstream media making him do it. This is Donald Trump talking to supporters at a rally. Take a listen, Katrina.
We had a case where we had an African-American guy who was a fan of mine. Great fan, great guy. In fact, I want to find out what's going on with him. You know what look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest?
What he did, it was just, to me, it was just a misstep. And, again, I wasn't offended by what he said.
And Katrina, in response to try to clean that up, he then retweeted a picture of a random African-American family that had nothing to do with the Trump campaign as a way of trying to fix the original My African Americans gaffe. Why does Donald Trump keep doing that? Why does he go directly to issues of race? And do you think it was appropriate for him to call that gentleman in the crowd My African American?
Well, to answer your first question, I absolutely think someone should be offended if Mr. Trump had actually said what the media was reporting that he said, because we never hear the next part of the context where there are good people coming into this country as well. When you are stating Department of Homeland Security statistics, that's not racist. It's just a fact, and it is a problem to Americans in this country, like Kate Steinle, who was killed by an illegal alien that continued to return to this country.
So you're saying it's a fact that Mexico is sending rapists over the border and that Mexican migrants are by and large rapists? You think that that is accurate?
See, that's another example.
But you just
never
said it. You just said that those are stating facts. You said that when Mexico sends its people here, they're sending rapists.
Are any of the criminal aliens? Are any of the criminal aliens rapists? Any of them? Just one?
He didn't say that. That's not what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said when Mexico is sending, hold on.
And he also did not say by and large.
When Mexico is sending its people here, they're not sending their best. They're sending rapists. That's what he said.
And he also did not say all, and he also did not say by and large. He is simply stating the types of people that are coming into this country, which is widely known.
And this administration, the people who work in the agriculture industry, not in that quote.
That's my point.
He didn't
yes,
mention
he did,
them
actually.
at all.
Go back and play the whole clip, and you will hear him say, and some are coming for other reasons, and some are here to work, and I'm sure some of them are good. He does say all of that stuff, but the media never plays that part. With regard to the quote at the rally recently with the African-American supporter, this was solely in the context of wanting to know how this African-American man was doing that was at his rally previously. He was talking about the support from the African-American community that he has and was wanting to know how that gentleman was doing. Looks up and sees an African-American, which he does in all of his rallies, Joyce. He points out the veterans. He points out the Latinos. Sometimes he'll even bring them up on stage. And this time, he looks over and leaves out one word, supporter, which was the context this was being discussed in. And all of a sudden, Donald Trump is a... Everyone's okay that Hillary Clinton goes on a black radio show and talks about keeping hot sauce in her purse. That's racist.
Okay, right. And the support that Donald Trump has at the moment, Michael Steele, 93% so far polling for Hillary Clinton, 4% for Donald Trump. But I guess my African-American is endearing.
Among African-Americans?
Yes, among African-Americans.
Well, yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. We're not surprised by that.
Do you have a question you'd like
I do have a question for Katrina. So we've just spent the better part of your time with us, Katrina, talking about the comments about the judge and the comments about other individuals. Is there conversation inside the campaign now to change or rework this narrative as we draw closer to the convention over the next few weeks? And what do those steps look like for you as a national spokeswoman? I'm sure you want to move on to other topics that are of much more substance. What is that internal conversation like right now with Mr. Trump and Paul Manafort and Corey and others?
Well, right now we're preparing for a strong convention. We are talking about the policy differences between Mr. Trump and Hillary Clinton, who's likely going to lock up the nomination this week. And that's what we're talking about right now, and especially where Hillary Clinton is concerned, because she just gave a political speech, not a foreign policy speech, that listed a number of doors that she opened for herself to receive criticism under. And that's what we're going to be focusing on, because at the end of the day, when it comes to November, people do not want the status quo. And I think we've seen that unfold over the primary process on both sides of the aisle. And then it's going to be about identifying all of those individuals who feel like they don't have a political home, many of those people who have come into the process because of a Trump candidacy or a Sanders candidacy, and show those individuals that Mr. Trump's pro-American policies are far better for American citizens than maintaining the status quo, and even worse with Hillary Clinton.
So just as a quick follow-up to that, though, is there a concerted effort now to move off of this conversation about Trump University, to move off of this conversation about the judge specifically, to move off of these things that have really distracted from the overarching message? Or is this something that the campaign still has to bake into whatever else you've just described you want to talk about over the next few weeks?
No, I think we all want to move on to substance, but these are the questions that the media is asking. And at the same time, we can't sit there and allow the media to define Mr. Trump and his policies. So we'll focus on this as long as we need to make sure that it's abundantly clear that Mr. Trump does not see race or gender. He treats everyone the same. He is a counterpuncher, and he's not just going to sit back and let the media or anyone else criticize him without coming back and clarifying.
Okay, Katrina, Lawrence has a question quickly, but I want to remind you once again that the media is reporting on what Donald Trump is saying, and that is why his statements on race come out, because he's saying them, and then the media